Next, we have Dann Seki. He is a stage and screen actor and storyteller. His most recent stage appearance was in Manoa Valley Theater's Allegiance. He has appeared in numerous plays on the stages of most of the theaters here in Honolulu, has performed in Los Angeles, and has been in many film productions right here in the islands. He was also on the air at Kumu FM for 15 years. Dan is a graduate of Aiea High School and is a retired audiologist. Let's welcome Dan.
The green ones taste the best. Thank you, Ku'u. The benefit of being at this point in the program is I can say, yeah, what they said. So, as you heard, I grew up in Aiea. That's not entirely true. I spent the first few years of my life here in Honolulu. So, if you drive ever on School Street, for those of you who are not local, that's west. So if you drive ever on School Street, right after you pass A'ala Street, look to your left. That's where my house used to be. Right now it's in the middle of the freeway. So, when I was growing up in Aiea, Moanalua Road, which is the main road through Aiea, right now what you see there with all the apartments and houses, Palimomi Medical Center, Pearl Ridge Shopping Center, the old Kamehameha Drive-In, all of that was just cane fields, sugar cane fields on both sides of the road as far as your eye could see. Aiea was country. Took 2 buses to get to town. You had to catch the country bus from Aiea, which ended at the Oahu Railway Station by A'ala Park. You had to get off that bus and on the city bus to get to wherever you wanted to go. Reverse the process to go home. Many times I fell asleep on the bus going home. I used to wake up in Waipahu or Pearl City and then have to get off the bus and then catch the bus back to Aiea. That was an ordeal. So, getting back to the topic, what local means to me. You know, when I was growing up, I didn't really have a sense of local. I never really even thought about it. You know, what was local and what was not local never crossed my mind. What crossed my mind was country versus city. I hear you, country. Because I was raised in Aiea, and that was definitely country back then. The city kids always spoke a little bit better, wore a little bit more stylish clothes. I was always a little embarrassed about being country, you know? So being local was not a thing. Being country was a thing. So I don't think of local as the way you look, the way you dress, the way you speak. I think of local as being kind of a state of mind, your behavior patterns, if you will. I was often approached, as Ku'u was, when I was going to school. Where are you from? I would say, here. And they go, you don't sound like you're from here. And you know, back in those days, I thought that was a compliment. I mean, I thought it was cool. I mean, they think I'm from the mainland or someplace, you know? But now when I think back on it, I'm wondering if it was kind of a put down, right? I mean, I can't be local because I don't sound local. Or, worse yet, I'm Japanese from the mainland. Ooh. So local to me is bringing flowers or food when you go to visit somebody's house. You know, I was at a conference in Arizona, and a friend of mine, her mother lives in Arizona. So one night when I was free, I called her up to say hello, how's it? She invited me over for dinner. And since I was free, I accepted, and I went over there with a bouquet of flowers. And I presented her with the flowers, and she looks at me and says, you don't have to do that, you know. We're not in Japan. Or she could have said just as easily, we're not in Hawaii. Yeah. Being local to me is bringing omiyage to and from wherever you're going. Half our suitcase is usually filled with stuff going to where we're going, right? We got all these candies and nuts and things. We give it to the housekeeping staff. We give it to the front desk folks. We give it to the tour driver. We give it to whoever we think we ought to share our aloha with, right? And then, of course, now we got an empty suitcase. So we, of course, have to bring omiyage home to our friends and family here. Now, my daughter has been living in Los Angeles for a lot of years now. And every time she comes home to visit, she always brings omiyage back home to her friends and coworkers in LA. And in the beginning, it was always like, whoa, what's this for? But now, they do the same thing. Whenever they go traveling, they always bring stuff back to their friends and to the coworkers at the office. So, if omiyage is a definition of local, my daughter has created a bunch of locals in LA. Being local to me is cooking barbecue meat on a small portable hibachi. I'm not talking those big Webers, yeah? I'm talking the cast iron small one that's, excuse the camera, I'll be down, I'll be up in a second. So it's down here, right? So here I am in Kentucky, of all places, cooking barbecue meat on my portable hibachi, doing the Asian squat. Flipping the meat with my chopsticks. Smoke billowing. I'm enjoying the moment, smelling the meat cooking, pushing the smoke away from my face. This is what I always did in Hawaii. It's just like being at home. And then I start noticing there's a bunch of people standing around me, watching me do this, because they've never seen somebody squatting next to the hibachi, flipping meat with a pair of chopsticks. That's local. Local for me is a state of being. It just is. Now, as we all try to reconnect with our roots, as we all try to reconnect with our culture, because many of us are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 generations removed, and we're starting to reach back to our culture and trying to recapture that. So as we start to do that, maybe we start to think about definitions. But here's what I'm throwing in as my lesson. We got to be cautious, yeah? Because when we start putting people into different categories, into different groups, we create those fault lines that Civil Beat is talking about. We create those separations. Now, here's where we got to be careful. It's okay to have that separation, perhaps, but we got to make sure that that fault line doesn't crack open, yeah, and then really separates the groups. I'm a storyteller, as you heard, and as I travel through the world, I try to capture different stories from different cultures. So wherever I am, whether I'm in Arizona looking at Native American stories, or I'm in Germany trying to find some German stories, or Norway trying to find some Norwegian stories, wherever I am, I try to collect these stories. And as you read these stories, you realize they're not a whole lot different. They're pretty similar. I mean, the names change, and the geographic location changes, and some of the storyline changes a little bit, but basically, it's the same story. So when I start to read those stories, I realize, you know, in the global community, in the world, we're really a lot more similar than we are different, and we have to think that way. Thank you. I had my favorite high school teacher. One day was teaching us about pride. And she said, you know, there are different kinds of pride. And she divides them into two, good pride and bad pride. And this is her definition. Good pride is internal. Good pride is in you, in your heart, in your na'au, in your mind. You're feeling this. So you're proud about being who you are. You're proud of what you've accomplished. You're proud of what your ancestors have accomplished. You're proud of being Filipino or Japanese or Hawaiian. You're proud. Gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling when you think about it. And in most cases, people around you don't even realize that you're feeling that way because it's inside, it's internal. Bad pride, in her definition, is external, when you broadcast it. When people around you are aware that you're proud. That's her definition of bad pride. I'm proud of what I am. I'm proud of what I've accomplished. I'm proud of what my ancestors have accomplished. I am proud of being Japanese or Filipino or Hawaiian, whatever your pride is. See, once you start doing that, you're distancing yourself away from the others who aren't part of that group that you're part of, that you're proud of. So that's her definition of good and bad pride. So let me toss out a question at you. This person is born and raised in Hawaii, graduated from a high school in Hawaii, graduated from the University of Hawaii, lives in t-shirts, shorts, rubber slippers, eats all kinds of local foods, goes to Vegas 4 times a year. Is this person local? Okay, so same criteria, same definitions, only now this person is blonde, blue-eyed, and 100% Caucasian. Local? See, you got to think about it a little bit. I agree with Rob. To me, that's still local. Okay. End of question. So, to do my part in ensuring that fault lines don't crack, I try to make every effort I can to not step on toes. That's not always easy, but I try. And I hope that the other folks will not step on my toes in the process. We try, right? We have to keep trying. Now, and here's my personal statement. I spent 38 years with the United States Army. You can clap. 8 years on active duty and 30 years here in the Army Reserve in Hawaii. Thank you. So, the American flag and the flag of Hawaii are very, very precious to me. I mean, I served for 38 years protecting those things. So, whenever I see any disrespect shown to those things, it hurts. Now, I understand freedom of expression. I understand making a point. But when I see the Hawaiian state flag flying upside down, that hurts me. Sorry, it hurts. Somebody is stepping on my toes, and it hurts. Okay? Do I say anything? No, usually not. Maybe that's the local part of me. And I will leave you with this statement. I am proud to now consider myself local. I am proud to be local by whatever definition we all come up with, as long as that doesn't separate me from the folks that are non-local by that same definition. And that's the challenge. Thank you.